Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, I'm once again answering some of your questions, such as which of these two brands do I think is a better investment? Would I rather get a perpetual calendar or an annual calendar? And what are my thoughts on Ball as a brand? All that and more in today's episode. Now, of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today I'm wearing my H. Moser Endeavor Big Date, rose gold on a vintage style calf strap. Haven't worn this in a little bit. It's a little bit of a dressier watch, but I have some events coming up this week and I busted it out of the watch box. And also, guys, don't forget to check out delraywatch.com. We just took a lot of our aged inventory and lowered the prices dramatically, in some cases to below our cost. So you can pick up some great watches at ridiculous deals if you go to delraywatch.com and check out the hot deal section. It actually says sale and it has a fire logo right in the top navigation bar. Go check it out. And you can help us move some inventory and at the same time get yourself a fantastic watch at a ludicrous price. Link in the description once again. Anyway, guys, these are the questions you asked me on my Instagram account at Federico Talks Watches. I put up a Q&A picture 2 to 3 times a month asking for your questions. When I get enough questions, I take down the picture. Please do not DM me as I do not check them. But in no particular order, we start with Omid Sultan 88. Hey Fed, what are your thoughts on Ball in general as a mid-tier Swiss watchmaker? I like them. Their designs are a little clunky for me, but a lot of them I do like. They make a tough watch. Watchmaking wise, nothing special. A lot of Salida movements. Very normal kind of, nothing extraordinary, nothing bad. At their price point, they're pretty much in the middle. I love their luminous gas tubes. I think that's a nice little gimmick, and I especially like some of their dials when they use multiple colored tubes and stuff like that. The thing is with Ball, I like their history, their American history, but don't ever buy one brand new. Buy them pre-owned, save a ton of money, and that way you really do get a watch that's great bang for buck. At full price, arguably you could do a lot better. But pre-owned, since they don't hold value very well, they really are nice watches for the prices you pay for them. S says Gentius. Ciao Fede. Great content as usual. Thank you. Which one do you prefer as an investment, Moser or AP? Well, Gentius, I don't generally consider watches investments, and I strongly urge everybody to not consider watches investments, especially in this market. A lot of people who considered watches as investments are going to get hurt. But this is an interesting question. If you can get like AP Royal Oaks at retail price, particularly the blue ones, of course, they're probably going to appreciate more than Moser's, especially in the short run. But Moser is a brand that has a ton of upside. And I'm not just saying it because I own multiple, but I can tell you when I bought this watch for $5,000 3 years ago, now it's trading for $12,000. Moser just still has a lot to grow. They're still a much younger brand. AP is massively overhyped, which is why I say if you can get it at retail, sure, there's some real potential there. But if you're buying it at market prices, well, then I think you're going to lose. Whereas Moser at retail, you might lose, but you can buy a lot of them at under retail, depending on the model. So, and also it's a brand that has appreciated a lot over the years. I think, AP is safer in the short term, but I think in the long run, you'll have a bigger increase percentage-wise on Moser. G Macho 52. Hey Fed, have you ever considered starting your own watch brand? Yes and no. I've talked about this with John. I don't think I'd be a very good brand founder. I love watches, sure. I have strong opinions, sure. I know quality, yes, to a lot of these things. But I'm not a particularly good designer. I'm not particularly creative. I don't think I have the skill set necessary to bring something special to the market. Sure, I could start a micro brand, but most of these micro brands are made in the same factory with off-the-shelf movements. If I hear of another micro brand, I think I might shit a brick. I mean, half these micro brands, there's a lot of great ones, but half of these are just, slapped together parts with a slapped together story that will never matter and won't be in business in 10 years. And if I do something, I don't want it to be that. And I don't think I'm capable of creating something better than that. So no, I won't be starting a watch brand, at least right now. Flip 57. Love your content. I own watches with off-the-shelf movements, and I own some with in-house movements. I value the in-house movements more. But in your opinion, how important are in-house movements anyway? In-house movements can be important because they showcase what the brand can do. But in-house movements aren't necessarily better than ETA movements. In fact, a lot of times ETA movements are better than in-house movements, more reliable, easier fix, so on and so forth. While if I'm paying a certain price point, I expect the movement to be something special or in-house, there's other way to make up that value. Does it have a special dial or case? How limited is it? What are the materials being used? If they're using it at a movement, what modifications are there? There's some great companies like Vincent Calabrese that used ETA movements, but then their own modules, or Carlo Ferrara did the same thing. I know two very obscure watch brands, but very, very high-end ETA-based watches. And then there's some other movements that were in-house that never worked too well, like IWC's first in-house chronograph in the Spitfire. I mean, that shit broke so much that, I cringed at even selling them. Now they've got the kinks worked out. But don't just think because it's in-house, it's better. It's not. Do I value in-house? Yes, I do, but I do think people put a little too much importance on it. Just a little bit. There's more to the watch than just movement. There's design, there's proportion, there's history, there's materials, there's how much you generally like it. And of course, there's also movement, which is very important, but it's not the only thing that's important. But yes, so I guess how important is it? Very, just not as much as a lot of people are saying, if that makes any sense. Sir Watch-A-Lot. Hey Fed, I've been waiting for a sub 40mm world timer for years. Nothing seems to come out. What is your guess? Will we ever see a sub 40mm world time different than just the Patek? Well, world times are interesting watches. I love world times. But to make one sub 40mm is difficult because the movements are big with that complication. The dial is big. To make another sub 40mm world time, you'd probably have to develop a whole in-house movement. And world time isn't a particularly popular combination. I think JLC made a Master Geographic at 39mm, which is not strictly a world time, but it's very similar. A little while ago, are there any other ones? Anderson Genève, I believe, has one. And I believe Oris made a dual time at under 40mm, but essentially they're bigger movements, they're thicker movements, the dials are more complicated. So unless you're looking at a top-notch brand where, they have the capabilities of making this new movement, and the fact that 40mm is the most popular size anyway, I think you're going to be looking for a while for a sub 40mm world time, especially if you want it under a certain price point, unfortunately. Hanlon 84. Really enjoyed your story on Scottish Watch podcast a couple weeks ago. Question: would you get an entry-level perpetual calendar or a higher-end triple calendar? I would go with the perpetual. The annual or the triple, they're cool, but they're not perpetual. Perpetual is a grand complication. Even a perpetual based on an ETA, which does exist. IWC used to make those. Perpetual calendar, at least in my opinion, is another level entirely, and it's quite special. Not to take away anything from the triple calendar or the annual calendar. Personally, I would definitely go perpetual. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Really does help. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more content. And of course, check out delraywatch.com. Guys, thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.